Wake up! I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And you have arrived at coffee review number 15, where we're looking at this single origin coffee from Uganda. And I'm going to pour a couple, let them cool off, and show you on a map where this stuff comes from. So it is known precisely. I'll get back to you guys in a couple minutes. And the first map we go to is from Coffee Obsession by Annette Moldwehr. And on the Uganda page, it has all sorts of interesting facts about the coffee growing regions in Uganda. And one of them is that 80% of their output is Robusta and 20% is Arabica. And that sounds bad to some coffee drinkers, but the Arabica they do is pretty good stuff. And we are talking about something in the western region over here, maybe along here, along the border with the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So the actual spot where the co-op and the coffee is grown is not really listed on this map. But there's good information on this page from Annette, and I blew up a couple things on Google Maps and was able to locate the co-op. So here we see the Bukanzo Organic Farmers Cooperative in this little town, I forget the name of. I can see it on this map. Kasese maybe, Kasese. So this is Lake Victoria, this is Lake George. Over here is a different country than Uganda. Here's Kenya over here, so Kenya, Uganda, Congo. So the co-op is located in a little town, but it's not quite in the growing region. So you zoom in a little bit more, and this is a tiny little Lake George. This is Kasese, where the co-op is located, and this is Mount Stanley, which is one of the Rwenzori mountain range. So there's lots of mountains here. Here's the national border between the Congo and Uganda, and the growing region is on this side of the mountain range. So, and it's dozens, hundreds of little farms, and the co-op that all the farmers contribute to is made up of 1,975 small farm holders, majority of whom are women. Growing specialty coffee is an opportunity for all of them to get more money for their coffee by growing it for the specialty market. So we'll read some of the details off the label here, but I roasted this coffee that I received unroasted a few days ago. And the beans turned out nice and dark and uniform. A nice dark brown. I'm going for a medium roast almost all the time when I do my tasting. I don't really like dark stuff. I don't want it under roasted. I'm shooting for the sweetest flavor I can get, which is usually some form of medium roast. So on the nose, smells rich, smells nice. I'm not getting a lot of normal coffee aromas. Nothing nutty. Might be a little chocolatey or some other kind of earthiness. I'm not really getting a fruitiness out of it or a nuttiness. I'm not recognizing the aromas that are hitting my nose. So the first sip, wow, the palate's about the same. There might be a vague sort of fruitiness like plum, apricot, but it is not strong, it's really faint. There's not really an earthiness to it. There's not a foundation or a basement, a anything down there. Like sometimes chocolate, it forms in the lower part. And I'm not getting that here. Wow. This is odd. And as it's cooling down, I'm getting more and more flavors becoming apparent, but they're not reminding me of food much. It's more like tobacco or wood or leather. It's a set of aromas and flavors together. It just don't remind me of food at all. It's good, it's delicious, it's going away fast. And it's very interesting. It's not like anything we've had before. Wow. As it cools off, it's picking up a little bit of sweetness. That sweetness is increasing. So that's good. Yeah, wow, just different. There might be a light fruitiness to it, but it's vague. It's faint. Still no earthiness or chocolate. And the first one's gone. So I'll keep going on the second one. I'll let it cool off a little bit more. Try to get a little more out of the second cup here. But the beans that I bought unroasted from Smokin Beans has this kind of profile here. 1,200 to 1,500 meters is growing elevation. The varieties of Arabica beans are Kent, SL14 and SL28. I guess that means something to somebody. And it is grown in the Rwenzori mountains of Western Uganda. The process is washed. The farm is Bukanza Organic Farmers. So that's the co-op that all the small farmers contribute to or put into, and maybe the processing comes from the co-op, or maybe it's just processed right on their own land. They give flavor notes of chocolate, tobacco, earthy, cedar, sweet dried fruit. So yeah, that's kind of a vague smear of some of the stuff, but I can't say I get chocolate. Cedar isn't necessarily the wood I'm picking up. It's more vague than that. Cedar sounds real specific, and we'd get that, I would think. And dried fruit didn't occur to me. Yeah, I don't get the earthiness, but tobacco I mentioned. So, okay. So that was different, and I'm getting some of those things now that I've read this. I might pick up some of those in the cooler cup. So it is still very different, unique in the whole set of coffees we've done. I think this is the third African coffee we've had. And there's one more to go next time. And they've all been kind of different. They aren't like each other. And they aren't like things we've had before from Central and South America. So this has been a real interesting trip. I'm getting a tiny bit more fruitiness, a little brightness, a little acidity is becoming more apparent. Any earthiness that's there is very vague and diffuse and distant. Not a lot of earthiness at all. I'm not sure I interpret any of that as chocolate either. And there's kind of a vague woodiness that I can't really place as cedar. It's just kind of vague tobacco, old wood, and leather type things. It comes up in whiskey tasting a lot. All those old things in older whiskeys. But it's got a very different character there. But these are some of the same notes that are very non-food-like. So, puzzling, interesting, delicious. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this bag. I'll probably keep roasting it to this level. I might give one stab at something a little lighter and something a little darker, but I wouldn't wander too far from the medium. Oh, they give a recommended roast level. They say, usually. I missed it somehow. I was right on the fold of my paper. Light to medium roast is what they recommend. So I'm going to pour one more cup and do it with the cream. I've got no idea what I'm going to get. Oh, didn't bring a spoon again. Let's use rotational mixing. Okay, it's mixed now. Smells creamy, smells caramely. The addition of the butter fat and the milk sugar changes things a bit. Oh, wow. Smoother, more rounded, creamy and buttery notes, not surprisingly. It's good, but the character that was there before is just kind of swamped out and taken over by the cream and butterfat notes. It was vague and undefined before, and now it's cream-like. So it's very good, very tasty. This is very dessert-like without having a main component of fruit or caramel or brown sugar or anything like that. But the creaminess is very good. It is a good complement to the flavors that are unstated, unidentifiable. It's too much of a unit. They're integrated together so well and so faint and diffuse. I'm having trouble saying anything, especially after the cream's in. I had a vague idea before, and the cream just made it creamy. Oh, so this one is certainly good. It doesn't have anything that would offend anybody, I don't think. There's no strong flavors, and there's no traditional coffee flavors that people used to Folgers or Starbucks would identify as coffee-like, especially. And I think the medium roast portrays it pretty well. Might be interesting to try a lighter roast, maybe a darker roast, and see how it responds to that. So the second topic for today is about sourcing unroasted coffee beans, and roasted really, because they go together so well, from different places. And most of the unroasted beans I buy come from Smokin Beans. And that really started because of Amazon. When I was looking for unroasted beans and did some searches, that's the first place that popped up. And Smokin Beans was a seller there, and I was kind of surprised at how many different kinds they had. So that's what I started buying. But then when I started going to their own website, I just started skipping Amazon. And then I stumbled across their wholesale prices. But I was just shocked at how many countries they had single origin beans from. And really, we could use a definition of single origin or single source or single estate or things like that. There isn't really an industry definition. It really kind of varies from region to region, country to country, as the cultures are fairly different. But in Central and South America, there's lots of large plantations with a single landowner, and they hire hundreds or thousands of people to work on them. And then they have other situations in other countries, or maybe the same countries, where it takes 1,000 farmers together in a co-op to produce enough stuff of high quality to send off to specialty coffee importers in the United States or other countries. So single origin could mean one estate. It could mean one co-op from a very limited region or part of a country, one side of a mountain range, or it could be a bigger area than that, depending on how many growers there are, how big the individual farms are, and how productive the area is. But we're seeing a lot of large co-ops and large estates from the places that Smokin Beans gets their beans from. And then I'm seeing a lot of the same names because they're such prolific coffee growing regions that produce a lot. I'm seeing the same names at other providers that provide unroasted coffee. So Smokin Beans got my attention because of how many different countries they had. So Smokin Beans has lots of stuff. I'll spend a minute or two showing you their website and navigating around the different parts that I use. And it's very interesting. You can get all sorts of roasted, unroasted beans. They've got lots of half caffeinated coffees from their single source locations. Okay, here's a quick look at the Smokin Beans website. I'm just going to go across a couple tabs and show you some highlights. But the first thing I want to show you is that they have roasted selections here. So they have various blends, deals, flavored coffees, and then starts a long list of different countries arranged alphabetically. In the middle here we see some espresso blends, and they go on with their countries, and they have a lot. So all these available roasted to your specifications. You get to pick from a list, and you can get like 1, 2, 5, 10 pounds and up. So it's very interesting and very flexible. Now on the unroasted side, we see again blends and then the long country list. A few espresso blends that they put together before roasting so that you can buy those. There's a couple of kinds of decaf. I don't know what that means. And the Swiss water decaf. It's different than M's. Oh, ooh, maybe that means methylene chloride. Right off the bat. This is already a different source, different varieties, different producer since I bought my Uganda a few months ago. So it's also noted down in the description that the Uganda source from Smokin Beans is different. But this region is Budadiri. The producer, Empire Agricultural, is different, and Typica, Kent, and SL28 are different than we saw in the Rwenzori Mountains. So just an alert. What I bought and reviewed and tasted is not available at the moment, or maybe ever, from Smokin Beans. So that is different. And then the other thing I wanted to point out was that if you're concerned about caffeine, you can get all these single source coffees, single origin coffees, in a half caffeine version. So they have some mild, unobtrusive decaffeination method that preserves the flavors, pulls out half the caffeine, and you can enjoy your single source things, your single source items with less caffeine. So just an example of the wholesale pricing. Let's pick something from Central America. Let's do Rio Tinto. Unroasted Rio Tinto. Gives the same information that they put on the label. You can choose regular caffeine, full caffeine, or half caffeine without a change in the price. So if you're interested in caffeine, you've got a method that pulls out half of it without much effect on the flavor. They have a burlap bag option, and now I'm going to show what a 5-pound bag of half decaffeinated watermelon Rio Tinto costs $21.25. So it's fairly inexpensive. So just a couple features of the Smokin Beans website. So Smokin Beans is highly recommended, and they have got really good prices on so many of their things. Next place I want to mention is Sweet Maria's, and I'll take you to their website, but they're really focused on home roasters. They will sell you gear, they will sell you unroasted beans, they'll sell you brewing equipment, and they have a pretty good selection. And I hope to, I should be able to show you their website in a minute or a minute and a half, and I'll have a little gap here for that. So here's a little tour of the Sweet Maria's website, and you can see they're very oriented towards home roasting. So before we get into the coffee selection, I just want to go down and show you some of the things they offer. Coffees, all sorts of different roasting, brewing gears, and all sorts of merch and information, books and videos on how to do things and different sources of the coffee. So it's a very complete site to give a lot of information, lots of different ways. They have some merch and books and different things, lots of brewing equipment, lots of roasting equipment. So I see the Baymore there on this picture, but they have lots of other things as well for you to do home roasting. And then their interesting part of the site to me is all the green coffee they have. So this is just their list by origin, country, or continent. And you just provide a list, and you get to pick a weight and a number. An awful lot of stuff at $6 a pound here. $9.75. $6 a pound seems to be their going rate for most of their specialty unroasted coffees. And it would take a long time to go through and explore all these by roasting and tasting. So, just a little tasting sample of the Sweet Maria's website. And then the next place worth a mention is Berman Coffee Traders. I haven't ordered anything from them, but I've been through their website and I have quite a few teas. And it took me a while to figure this out. But my daughter buys a lot of stuff from Berman Coffee Traders. She's a tea aficionado and gets lots of teas there. And the ones that she doesn't like get kicked over to me. If it's smoky, if it's strong, if it's got some odd flavor that she doesn't like, I wind up with it. And they're really a coffee company. And when I looked at their website, I was blown away by how many kinds they have and how geeky they are about the description. So they are into single origin coffees, and they have lots. So they're the real deal. And I haven't ordered from them, but it's dangerous for me to look at their website. So I will get something. So I think they're pretty highly recommended and highly rated by people. And here's a little spin around their website to show you how much they have. Okay, and here's the Berman Coffee Traders website. Here's the home, and you get to see that they have educational resources. They have lots of accessories, doodads, merch. They have roasters galore. And then they also offer tea, which is how I know them. I have not purchased coffee from them, but the size of the site and the breadth of the offerings tell you that they're pretty complete outfit. Their tea's been really good. So let's just go into single origin here. And it is a long list. Countries, alphabetically arranged. And you can see how the price sometimes goes down as you increase the quantity. But again, it's on the order of $4 or $6 a pound for these specialty single origin coffees. So there's the Congo, Costa Rica, Salvador, and Ethiopia. So if you hear about something or just thumb through this list, you will be able to find something that's interesting, different, unique. So it's quite a list. So that's Berman. And then the last place I want to mention today is a local place I came across. And I'll feature this place a lot more in the next video, in my next coffee review. This is Orleans Coffee, a local roaster in the New Orleans area. And they offer roasted and unroasted coffees. They sell into lots of coffee shops and specialty places where they may need 3, 4, 5, I don't know, 6, I don't know how many coffees that they use in a shop like that. But they sell the equipment, they train people, they can set you up as a coffee shop with equipment and training and coffee. So you can buy unroasted beans like these. What have I got here? Brazil Lua Azul. And Guatemala Huehue Tenango. Huehue Tenango. Whoa, what a long name. And it's got a lot of letters in it. And I bought lots of roasted coffees there. In my next video, the topic will be a visit to that local roaster. But they are a good source for unroasted beans as well. So I'll be getting some things that I don't get at Smokin Beans at this place. And then I didn't really mention all the blends that these places produce as well. Some people like consistency and they want the same thing every day. And blending is a way to get some interesting flavors or combinations of flavors that you don't get from a single origin bean every time. But you can consistently blend it from single origin beans of known characteristics and get something new or something a little more consistent or a little more affordable. So all these places have blends as well. Sweet Maria's and Berman and these guys and these guys. So I hope to show you a little bit of the website of the Orleans Roasters. And finally here we're looking at Orleans Coffee, a roaster that is local to me, so I can call them up, tell them I want a couple of these roasted coffees, a couple of them unroasted, and I can drop by and pick them up the next day in person. And that's easy for me to do. And they roast for the specialty market in the New Orleans area. So they are roasting to send it into coffee shops and places that serve people coffee and espresso. So this is their list of what they do. Well, let me show you a better list. They have it arranged by region, so they have blends, they have local coffees, coffee and chicory. Then I'm going to go into regions. So here's their selection of African coffees. So a couple of different Ethiopian ones, a couple of Kenyas, a couple of Tanzanias. I'm going to give a description and tell you their usual roasting level, and they will package it up and ship it to you, at least domestically. So this is a pretty good place for people to access some of the single-source coffees, either roasted or unroasted. They take off, they give a 40% discount, I believe, for their unroasted beans. But I will use them quite a bit in the future, so that's a fourth option for this list today. And they will ship anywhere in the U.S., I'm pretty sure. They can provide you roasted and unroasted beans as well. So there's no excuse for people not getting some single origin coffees if they're interested. The access is there if you have the funds. And it's very worthwhile. So cheers, although I don't have any coffee left now. And I'll see you next time on the next review.